Hey there, everybody. I want to welcome you and thank you for taking time to tune in to this devotion. I am working through rules for Christians. Really, maybe I should say rules for Adam. But these are things that I've been thinking a lot about for quite a long time as we face, in my opinion, one of the biggest challenges that the church has faced in some time. And that is how can we maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bonds of peace in the church when there is so much political division? And so the last devotion, I said that rule number one is that we must put people before politics. Rule number two is this: listen. Learn to listen well. Listen to what James says, the half-brother of Jesus, when he wrote to a group of Christians who were obviously wrestling with some of the same things that we wrestle with. There was divisions, there was anger, there were emotions, there were conflict, all kinds of things going on in the church, even in the first century. So what we're experiencing, first of all, is nothing new. But let's listen to what James has to say about when it comes to dealing with conflict and dealing with people who we disagree with and who may be disagreeable. He says this in James chapter 1, verse 9. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Now it's interesting. It's interesting that there's this connection between people who don't listen well and who are angry. And I find people that who tend to be at peace, and it doesn't seem like they get easily riled up, they're not very easily angered, they tend to be people who listen and listen well. Maybe you've been in a situation like I have where maybe you're in a discussion with somebody about some controversial issue, and it just seems like you can't get a word in edgewise. They talk over you. They're really concerned about making their point and really aren't interested in what you have to say or what you think. And so, as a Christ follower, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Slow down. Pause before you speak. Before you type something on Facebook or Instagram. Before you express your thoughts and your beliefs, just pause. And see if there's not an opportunity for you to listen. See, here's the thing. People that listen, they learn. All learners are listeners. And let's face it, you don't know everything there is to know, and neither do I. And yet, so often we speak or we post as if we are the authority and the final word on a subject. But the truth is there's a lot we don't know. The truth is we only have part of the truth. Especially when it comes to politics. We don't know everything that there is to know. And so, put yourself in a posture of being a learner and listen. You know, someone said once that we have one mouth and two ears, which means we ought to listen twice as much as we talk. But you know, I think maybe the best way to learn to listen is to learn to ask good questions. Questions have a way of putting ourselves in a posture of love and of care and in a posture of, hey, I don't know it all. Maybe I can learn something from someone who thinks differently, votes differently, or believes differently than me. Let me give you some examples of questions, and do me a favor, make comments, text me back if you have great questions that you think can help others in having peaceful, cordial conversation when it comes to difficult and conflicting issues. I would love to get some good questions for you. And by the way, this doesn't just apply to politics. In your marriage, in your relationship with your kids, with your neighbors, in your relationships with your parents, in your relationship with other believers, on any subject, on a variety of issues that might be issues that produce conflict, when we can learn to ask good questions, not only do we learn from someone else, it also gives us the opportunity to maybe be heard. And we all want to be heard. And that's why often we don't listen well. That's why we talk over other people. And sometimes that's why we just post truth bombs in response to what other people post on social media. Or if we just want to make a statement, we just throw it out there. And maybe a more humble way, maybe a more wise way would to learn to ask more and better questions. Here's a couple questions that I just came up with kind of without a ton of thought, but here they are. These are specific to politics, by the way. What if you asked someone who voted differently, who thinks differently than you, what if you asked them this? How did you come to your political views? Have you always had those political views, or have they changed over the years? Tell me about that. Or how about this question? What sources do you get your information from? And why? You know, one of the things that has got us in such a bind in America is that our news sources are biased. They're all biased. And if we're really going to be learners, if we're really going to be good listeners, we probably have to work a lot harder than we are to listen to other sources of news, especially news sources that might have a different political affiliation or bias than we do. And so learn from others. What are other good sources of information and news that you or that other people have found reliable? I'll tell you, I have a hard, fast rule on this when it comes to my intake for news. I want to listen to someone. Everybody has biases, so I don't care what their bias is, so long as they're honest about their bias. But I also won't listen to someone who always takes the same side on issues or on particular people. If you can't say something positive about Trump, or if you can't say something negative about Trump, then that concerns me. The truth is we all are complex people with strengths and with faults. It just so happens many of our political leaders, all of their faults and all of their strengths are on display for millions and millions of people to observe and to make opinions about. And so here's another question I came up with. And this is maybe a response that's to something you see on social media. Again, most people on social media, they don't want to discuss anything. They just want to be heard. They post a link, they make a statement. I call them truth bombs, although they're not always fully true. Maybe there's some truth in it. But instead of just blasting them or deleting them, what if you engage them in a conversation? You could start off with something like this. Hey, I saw your post. I was wondering where you got your information because I've heard differently. Now, I also have a hard, fast rule that goes back to 2015. I am not going to engage in a difficult political discussion online. And so I'll be honest, I have biases. I lean conservative, but I did not vote for Trump. And I have been accused of being a one-issue voter. I don't know how they come up with that, but the truth is I have 12 or 15 reasons why I lean conservative. And I have 3 or 4 reasons why I would not vote for Trump. I did not vote for him in 2016. I did not vote for him in 2020. And so I have opinions. There's nothing wrong with having opinions, but it's how you express them, how you communicate them, and how you interact with people who think differently and believe differently than you. And so put yourself in the posture of a listener. Learners are listeners. And the truth is you don't know everything there is to know. And neither do I. So think about that. I hope that helps you. And again, I'm working this out pretty much out loud with you guys. I'm not going to get everything right. If you have feedback, if you have comments, man, let me know. If there's something I'm not seeing, if there's something I need to be aware of, I want to learn from you. So thank you guys for taking time to listen to this. I hope you find it helpful. Let me bless you as we go. May the Lord bless you and may the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. God bless you guys. I love you. I look forward to next time.